Welcome to Intuitive Seek. My name is Mary Train, and as an intuitive guide, energy healer, and meditation teacher, I aim to bring you a grounded approach to all things energy and intuition. Everything I share is with the hope to help you remember how your unique power of intuition is your own greatest teacher. Welcome to your intuitive week of February 10th, the second week of the month, the second week of the second month of this new year. What a year it has been. I hope you are doing well. I know that it has not been the easiest for so many personally, and then, of course, globally. And yes, what are you doing? No. What are you doing to take care of yourself? What are you doing to make sure that you are cared for? Because the way that this year is going doesn't really feel like it's going to be slowing down anytime soon. So if the world around us is not slowing down, what can you do to slow down where you need to? That has been a big focus for me, and it's interesting because this past week was one of my busiest definitely of the year, but of the last few months. And every day I was with clients for 6 days this week. And with my own schedule, I do usually try to add a day between 2 or 3 days in a row of working with clients in a one-on-one capacity. And this past week, it just didn't turn out that way. So I had to really make sure that I was taking care of my energy and myself, because that's the only way that I can show up for people and do what I feel I need to do in the way I like to do it and like to show up, because I am working with energy. I am an energy healer, facilitator of healing, and an intuitive guide. And what does that mean? It means that I am focusing my full attention on many different levels of my being on whoever I am lucky enough to support. So because all of that attention is being shown, I'm acting as an energetic mirror, helping to guide through the spiritual and emotional connections and links to certain aspects of our physical reality. Clearing blocks, I guess, would be the quicker way to say that. If I didn't care for my energy that way and made sure to pay a lot of attention to myself as well, then I could burn out. I could get sick. I could stop wanting to do the job that I love so much. I love it so, so, so much. So a little reminder, a little extra gentle reminder to pay attention to your energy this year, but this month for sure. All right. So before we dive into the energy impressions for the week ahead, I wanted to share, if you are new to listening, or a little reminder for those that have been listening. Welcome to many new listeners. Thank you so much for being here. And welcome back to the listeners that have been with me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I absolutely love doing this podcast, and I love hearing from you. And please do not hesitate to reach out if any of these energy impressions resonate with you. If you want to share anything through the week that you experience, I hope you reach out and send me a message, because I love hearing from you. And yes, so I do, for these energy impressions, I do go into a really nice deep meditation with the intention to receive any insight, guidance, messages, symbolism, animal guide, anything that can help us listen more clearly to our intuition, to our own inner knowing, and move through the week with a bit more clarity and intention. A way to feel grounded within by connecting to yourself at the beginning of the week. But even if you're not listening to this at this specific time, if you found this podcast and you found this episode, whatever I share, there's something there for you now. So really trust your intuition. Trust your inner knowing. Okay, so for your intuitive week of February 10th, the first thing that I experienced in my meditation was a whirlpool of water being moved through the spiral energy, kind of being pulled down and through, trying to fight against the current, but getting really tired. But by releasing that resistance to that current, to the whirlpool energy, we're pulled through and then into the calmest waters. And this really felt like a beautiful reminder that this week may be emotional. Some of us may be moving through and feeling caught up by quite a bit of depth of emotion. And some of us may be resisting that emotion. But it feels like this whirlpool of energy is trying to remind us all that these feelings, if we find ourselves in this whirlpool energy of emotional depth, if we are resisting, it will exhaust us. And we may really need to allow our feelings. So this week is a big focus to allow how you're feeling. Allow your emotions to move. Pay attention to what you're resisting. Pay attention to how you feel that energy is kind of moving through you and wanting to express itself. Is it crying? Is it speaking? Is it something within that you just don't want to do? How is that energy moving? Because the more we resist, the more we will tire ourselves. And the more of that frenetic whirlpool energy we will be feeling. So this is almost like a way to ground ourselves this week, is to anchor into our feelings, but not to stew there, not to live there, but to know what we're feeling so that we can allow our emotions to flow. And if you're not sure, you could do a simple exercise, and simple doesn't always mean easy, but if this resonates with you, you may want to put some time aside to do it. But you can get nice and centered by having some deep breaths, closing your eyes, feeling really present, paying attention to where you are, bringing all of your attention to your breath, to your body, to you. And you could ask yourself, my heart feels, and then just allow the words to come. Or my stomach feel, or my hips feel. Trust the first place that you're feeling guided towards. And that's how you can connect to the energy, the emotion that you may be resisting and not even noticing that you're caught in that whirlpool energy because it just feels so familiar and usual. But this week, if you're finding yourself extra tired, that could be why. There could be some depth of feeling that is waiting to be felt. And if that's you, you know it is because it's resonating. But remember, with everything that I share, take what resonates with you and leave what doesn't. Trust whatever your intuition says oh, that's for me this week. And then visually in my meditation, it felt like once we moved through that whirlpool energy of emotion, once we allowed it to pull us through instead of resisting, feeling all those emotions, there was a calm. But in that calm, there was a visual of a star shining out of the corner of the eye, that kind of glimmer, trying to catch the attention. And it felt like for this week, if we do honor our emotions that way, make space for them, then space opens up for us to see a glimmer of hope and inspiration, something bright and shiny, but in a beautiful, true way, not just glitter. Something valuable is getting our attention, trying to. But it's also reciprocal. It felt like whatever is illuminating and shining out of the corner of our eye, it's actually lighting up something that needs to be illuminated within us. And it felt like, oh, what part of us is asking to be seen? But not only seen, to really shine, to be seen and felt and experienced. And it was quite lovely in my meditation because as that insight was coming of, oh, that illumination is also illuminating something within us, then I saw this kind of practice that we could do this week that was in my meditation. And it's a kind of candle gazing where you light a candle, tea light, safely, somewhere safe, always with fire. And you ask yourself, what part of me is lighting up? What part of me wants to shine? And then you soften your gaze, looking at the candle, but kind of past the candle. And you just allow that candle, that energy, that fire to help you see, to help illuminate what is already shining within you, almost by focusing on that light in front of you. It allows that light within you to emerge. And if that resonates with you, try it. I don't know if this is something like a specific practice, but it felt like it could be really helpful. I guess we could call it more of an intuitive candle gazing practice, allowing that light that I saw in my meditation to physically be in your space, in your physical reality, to help light up what is asking to shine. And then another thing in my meditation for this week of February 10th, it felt like this week, and it could be that whirlpool energy, but it felt like this week some of us could be more clumsy or accident prone, dropping things, distracted, making mistakes. And it didn't feel like a warning of, watch out for the horrible mistake you're going to make. It felt like guidance that if we move too fast this week, if we're not paying attention to what we need, how we feel, then we are going to be shown why we need to slow down. But again, not in a scary way. So if you find yourself being maybe a little bit clumsier, feeling a little bit more accident prone, making little mistakes, can you slow down? Can you take the first time it happens as the lesson? Pay attention. Do you need to slow down? Why were you going so quickly? Where are you? Maybe you're not feeling something you need to feel. Maybe you're racing away from it. So any clumsiness, accident-prone happenings that go on this week, for some of us, it's a really great signal to slow down and bring your attention back to how you're feeling and what you're doing and what you need. Because your body may already feel quite tired from the energy of not only this week, but from many weeks. So if you don't want to run yourself down, don't try to do things more quickly than you feel like you can. Pay attention to your pace and make sure that you're not going faster than your body needs to. Slow it down. Pay attention. That will help some of us this week for sure. And then in my meditation, there was this invitation to look at something that you want to do, that you have been wanting to do, that you haven't yet. It came up as a door open with a mirror of a reflection of you looking back at yourself. And this felt like an invitation to really think about any guilt or regret of you not doing something that you have been wanting to do, talking about to yourself, looking at, thinking about all the time, but you haven't done it yet. And that could be like a project or something that you want to begin or something you want to join. But what that imagery felt like was an invitation opening the door to shift your perspective, to really look at yourself and think of the thing that you haven't done yet, that you've been wanting to do, and look at the side of, what if you don't actually want to do that? What if that's the reason you haven't done it yet? What if it's actually the thing that you think you will get from it? The feeling, the reward, what is that? Is it being validated or understood or heard or seen in a new light, in a more valuable light? This felt like it can really help us this week connect again to emotions that need to be felt, but also to our needs. And it can help us let go of whatever guilt or shoulds that we have kind of moving around us. Anything negative about ourselves that we've been feeling for not doing it yet. The not doing may be the insight you need so that you can figure out what that thing you think is actually going to give you, and then you can let go of the thing and find out how to get and give yourself what you thought you would get out of it. So pay attention to any guilt or negative feelings about yourself, thinking about something that you have been wanting to do, but why haven't I done that yet? Why haven't I started it? Why haven't I joined that? Why haven't I fill in the blank? Connect to what you feel you will get from it so you can release the need to do it. Because if you haven't done it yet, now this isn't for everything, but for the people who this message is for, if you haven't done it yet, you may not actually want it. It's the thing underneath it that you believe you will receive that you want. So what is that? And now the animal, the intuitive animal energy that can inspire us for this week ahead is the lion. Now, as I was kind of detailing what the lion represents and writing down what I wanted to share about the lion, it dawned on me that, we have a full moon in Leo this week. So a lovely reminder about connecting to the cycles of the moon, being inspired by a full moon. And what a full moon helps to remind us about is what needs to be released, what needs to be cleared away so that we can begin. And that beginning would be the new moon cycle. And with the lion, what is illuminated within us that is in the way of us being our authentic, true selves, of expressing it, of sharing our hearts and our voice, our roar? What is in the way of our shine? Which really goes with everything else that came through in the meditation. So this is a week to really feel into what is in the way. What fear or idea about myself, limiting belief, actual thing in my life, what is it? And how can you let it go? What needs to be cleared away so that you, your own light, yourself, your truest self, can fill that space? Why are you not shining the way you feel called to? And there's so many other exercises that I shared, which don't always come through every week, but we got them this week. And I feel like it is connected to this energy. Put some time aside for yourself this week to do some of these things so you can get that clarity on, why am I not shining? Why am I not doing it? Because I don't want to feel this way. Why am I not feeling that? Thinking about that more. All of the ways. And I will share the journal prompts, soul questions at the end to help you integrate and clarify your intentions for the week a little bit more. So don't worry, I'll have those at the end. And you can scroll in the transcript on Apple Podcasts, and you should be able to read them there too. Okay, so a little bit more about the lion to help inspire you. Now, the energy of the lion represents courage, inner strength, heart healing, heart wisdom, solar plexus healing, inherited wisdom, communication, creative expression, intuitive gifts, self-care, respect, self-respect, and honor, but also overcoming difficulties. And as you hear those, what do they inspire? What do they remind you of? Where does it bring you in your life? Trust what resonates. Trust your intuition to guide you. Be inspired by the symbolism. And then I wanted to share an excerpt from Animal Speak, one of my favorite books that has the cross-cultural symbolism, so we can be inspired by as well. So listen to this excerpt I'll read and see how it inspires you, similarly to the energy. How does it feel? What does it remind you of? The lion is unusual among members of the cat family, is that it will live in groups called prides. If a lion has shown up, you can expect lessons and issues dealing with community and groups to maybe come to the surface. There may be a need to examine your own role in the group. Since the females of the pride do most of the work, it actually reflects the idea of the rising of feminine energies. The sun has not always been a masculine symbol. It does give birth to new days, and it nurtures and warms life. Thus, it is not stretching the correlation to see the lion as the assertion of feminine energies to bring forth birth and new power. When a lion has shown up, there will be opportunity to awaken to a new sun. Trust your feminine energies, your creativity, your intuition, your imagination, your ability to receive. These will add new sunshine to your life. And another part about the lion that I wanted to share for this week, because this week also has Valentine's Day, and the lion is known as having that lion heart, that big, sensitive, powerful, loving heart. But also, the lion has the roar, the beautiful roar. So how can this inspire you to give yourself love this week? To offer yourself the full-hearted roar of love and respect and care. Maybe that roar can inspire you to speak kind and beautiful words to yourself. Have you ever done that in a mirror? It can feel vulnerable and silly at the beginning, but if you haven't tried it, this may be the week. Allow Valentine's Day to inspire how you can show yourself more love. Pay attention to any unkind words that you're saying to yourself and counter those with some loving words. Have you ever written a love letter to yourself? Feel that pride and respect and power of the lion and share everything that you love about yourself to yourself. There's so many ways we can be inspired by the symbolism this week. Okay, so yes, we have a lot of emotions moving through many of us this week, and quite a few practices that if you feel called to do, if they resonate, that you can move into this week. Maybe pick one for the full moon. The full moon is on the 12th, I believe, in the Northern Hemisphere. And yeah, let the full moon in Leo inspire you this week. And here are some soul questions, journal prompts. You can use them as questions to answer in a voice note to yourself. You can answer all of them or just a few and trust what resonates. And a thing about these kinds of questions, often the one that we don't want to do, that's the one that may help us the most. But I'll share them here. And again, on Apple Podcasts, you can scroll through the transcript and see them there as well. So the first journal prompt, soul question, you can answer, what emotion do you resist feeling the most? And why? Detail all the reasons why and see what that tells you. And number 2, how are you feeling called to shine? How are you feeling called to shine? And what's in the way? What needs to be released? What needs to be let go of? What's in the way of you allowing yourself to shine? And number 3, what is something you want to do, have wanted to do, but haven't done yet? Imagine that it has happened. Then describe how it makes you feel. What does it give you? And then once you've detailed that, does this tell you anything about what you really need? And how can you give that to yourself? And does that change your feeling on wanting to do that thing? Bring a lot of awareness to this. This will help many of us this week. So I hope some of those resonated with you and that you can carve out some time this week to answer one or all of them. And thank you so much for listening to this episode of Intuitive Seek. I would love to hear from you if you resonated with the energy that I'm feeling, that we're moving through. And if you have any thoughts or questions, please do not hesitate to send me a message through my website at treenlight.com or my Instagram at treenlight.healing. And if you're curious about working with me, you can go to the show notes and click on the link there, and that lets you explore all the ways that I can support you. And it's hugely appreciated if you subscribe or follow wherever you get your podcasts. And if you feel like you want to give a little bit more support, please share this episode with a friend or you could leave a review. That really helps other people find this podcast. So thank you so much again. Be kind to yourself, and I'll talk to you next week.
Hi, Auntie Mary. I just wanted to say something